Good afternoon. I call the Board of Education regular business meeting to order, and it's also the public hearing on the budget. Do I hear a motion to enter into closed session?
I move the board enter closed session pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11A3, A5, and A6, and General Statute 115C-319 to discuss confidential personnel matters and to consult with the board attorney and preserve the attorney-client privilege, including a discussion of North Carolina School Boards Association versus Falwell, Wake County Superior Court Case number 18-CVS-009586, and Bertie County Board of Education versus Cowell, Wake County Superior Court Case number 15-CVS-13881.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried 6-0. We will be back at 6:30. Good evening. I'd like to call the Moore County Board of Education regular business meeting and public hearing on the budget back to order. Is there a motion to approve our agenda?
So moved.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. And first of all, I just want to say welcome to all of you that are in here, and I'm glad that it's a little cool in the building right now. It's a little hot out in the hallway. I'm so sorry for those of you standing out there. You can come in. Is there room along the side here? No? You're welcome to. It's a little cooler, I promise. All right, Pledge of Allegiance. We have
From
some
Southern Pines
Southern
Primary
Pines
School.
primary students.
Courtney Ray, second grade student.
Actually, Courtney is not here this
Oh,
evening, but
okay.
Leah Lyons is going to do both for us. So it's my
Leah
honor to
will do a
introduce
wonderful
Leah.
job.
Oh, I can't wait.
She's very tall.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Place your right hand over your heart.
Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. My name is Leah Lyons. I am a second grade student from Ms. Hicks' second grade class. I want to read this poem by Paul Cookson called Let No One Steal Your Dreams. Let no one steal your dreams. Let no one tear apart the burning of ambition that fires the drive inside your heart. Let no one steal your dreams. Let no one tell you that you can't. Let no one hold you back. Let no one tell you that you won't. Set your sights and keep them fixed. Set your sights on high. Let no one steal your dreams. Your only limit is the sky. Let no one steal your dreams. Follow your heart. Follow your soul. For only when you follow them will you feel truly whole. Set your sights and keep them fixed. Set your sights on high. Let no one steal your dreams. Your only limit is the sky.
Yes.
You are going to go places, I tell you. Great job.
Leah, would you autograph my agenda, please? Would you sign your name right there? I need your autograph. Wow, thank you. Here, let me shake your hand.
Good handwriting.
When are you going to run for president?
First, Ms. Carter needs her for speech and debate.
She was wonderful. Mom? Yes. Where's Mom? And kudos to that teacher.
Yes.
Awesome. You're doing a great job.
Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Would Brian Hayes please join Chair Wallenmiller and Vice Chair Carter in the front? Brian Hayes from Elise Middle School is this month's Engage, Inspire, Succeed Certified Staff Honoree. Mr. Hayes is the school counselor at Elise Middle School. In his first year, Mr. Hayes has made himself known across the campus and has quickly built relationships and trust with students. Mr. Hayes is never in one place for too long. He's always meeting with students, leading group lessons, making home visits, and collaborating with staff. After identifying a need for some students to develop leadership skills with some students, he worked with Summer Mack to create a leaders group dedicated to teaching and modeling positive behavior. Mr. Hayes co-chairs the PBIS team and helps manage the PBIS store. Additionally, Mr. Hayes coaches the Northern Moore Colts boys soccer team and blends his knowledge and love of the game with lessons of perseverance and sportsmanship. Elise Middle School scored big with Mr. Hayes, and they are so thankful that they choose him to begin his career, that he chose them to begin his career. Congratulations, Mr. Hayes. Members of the Hayes family and Principal Wiley, will you please stand and be recognized? Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Brian. Appreciate it.
Marie Brower, please join Chair Wallen Miller and Vice Chair Carter in the front. Marie Brower from Elise Middle School is this month's Engage, Inspire, Succeed Support Staff honoree. Ms. Brower does it all. She serves as Elise Middle School's Planning Room Coordinator, co-chairs the PBIS team, and manages the PBIS store. Offers a get back on track intervention time for students who need a time out of class to reflect on behaviors and review expectations, and conferences with students who are struggling with classroom misbehavior. Works at the front desk each morning and covers classes when needed. She's busy. Her calm demeanor and warm smile welcomes visitors to our school, while her listening ear, years of wisdom, and gentle reassurance are sought out by several of the staff for guidance. When decisions have to be made, you can count on Ms. Brower to present the other side of the story, to keep everything in perspective and think about other points of view. Respected, dedicated, and trusted. These three words epitomize Marie Brower. Elise Middle School is fortunate to have her on their team. Congratulations, Ms. Brower. Would members of the Brower family and Principal Wiley please stand and be recognized? Congratulations. Would Joe Wilson please join Chair Wallen Miller and Vice Chair Carter at the front? Joe Wilson, Senior Cinematic Editor for Epic Games, is this month's Engage, Inspire, Succeed Volunteer honoree. Epic Games is one of the world's leading gaming companies that is home to our popular Fortnite. When the students at the Community Learning Center at Pinckney expressed interest in visiting Epic Games, Mr. Wilson made that dream come true. As a child, he faced many of the challenges some of the students at CLC have faced, so volunteering his time was an honor for him. He worked with his company to acquire special permission to allow students to have the last official tour of the company headquarters in Cary. The students enjoyed seeing all aspects of the company from pre to post production and meeting professionals who developed their favorite games. After the tour, Mr. Wilson provided lunch at the nearby Golden Corral. Through Mr. Wilson's generosity, the students at CLC were able to see the possibilities of their future. Congratulations, Mr. Wilson. Would members of the Wilson family and Principal Wilson please stand and be recognized? Congratulations. Thank you. Congratulations. Thanks for all you do. Would Jaden Cotton please join Chair Wallen Miller and Vice Chair Carter at the front? Jaden Cotton, a sophomore from Community Learning Center at Pinckney, is this month's Engage, Inspire, Succeed student honoree. Jaden is an active member of his school community through the Ambassadors Program. He enjoys working with young students with disabilities as a volunteer at Sandhills Farm Life Elementary. Jaden thrives in his classes and is working hard to increase his GPA. Through his hard work and growth, he has proven to be a role model for his peers. Jaden is often the first to volunteer to assist his teachers, counselor, and principal. He hopes the community will view his school as a place for students who excel in an alternative education setting. Jaden loves anime. I knew somebody was video games, music, his high school, and his family. He looks forward to enrolling in Sandhills CCP courses next semester. His goal after graduation includes attending NASCAR Technical Institute in Mooresville, of which I'd highly recommend. For all these reasons and more, CLC at Pinckney is proud to present Jaden as Student of the Month honoree. Congratulations, Jaden. Would members of the Cotton family and Principal Wilson please stand? Thank you. This month we have several additional recognitions. Would Olivia Morse, Emily Kearney, Caitlin Chisholm, Elizabeth Woodard, Olivia Richards, Kelsey Blake, Angelina Gittleson, and Maddie Pry please join Chair Wallen Miller and Vice Chair Carter at the front.
Is Emily Kearney or Carney?
Kearney.
Kearney, okay.
Didn't I say that?
Was just wondering if she was kin.
These ladies are members of the Pinecrest High School women's bowling team. In only their second year of existence, this team won the 2019 North Carolina State Championship over Lumberton High School with a final score of 184 to 155. Pinecrest High School is very proud of these ladies and their accomplishment. Congratulations, and would members of the families and Pinecrest Principal Phillips please stand and be recognized. I think they're standing in the back.
I need to see my Olivia.
Well, they got to shake other people's
Go this way,
hands,
this
too.
way. Here you go. Congratulations. Congratulations. Congratulations.
I'll love you real good on that
Congratulations.
level.
Give me some Patriot pride right here. Good
Thank
job.
you so much.
Feel these
for
strong
doing well
hands.
with this.
Way to go, girl. Congratulations, all y'all. Well done. Yeah, what do you say, Maddie?
Hey, how are you doing?
Congratulations. Hey, maybe get 2 state championships this year. Way to go, Coach. Good job.
Thank you for all
Proud of
you to help
y'all.
the young ladies. All right, ladies.
Remember.
Nope. Got more.
Fishing team.
Would Connor Kinlaw and Corbin Yao please join Chair Wallen Miller and Vice Chair Carter at the front? Come on in, boys. Union Pines High School freshmen Connor Kinlaw and Corbin Yao competed in the Student Angler Federation North Carolina State Championship at Sharon Harris Lake against 38 other teams from across the state. Connor and Corbin weighed in 2 bass, totaling 6.78 pounds, and won the championship. They are now qualified for the national championship to be held in Florence, Alabama in June. Connor's dad, Derek Kinlaw, is their boat captain. Thank you, sir. Union Pines High School is proud of Connor and Corbin for their accomplishments. Congratulations, Connor and Corbin. Members of the Kinlaw and Yao family and Principal McCormick, would you please stand? It was not a warm and sunny day. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you so much.
Thank you for
We got one more.
Proud of you guys.
He actually has a bag for you guys to auction off to.
June in Alabama is going to be warmer.
Good job, guys. Good luck. We can do it.
Let's give it up for our state champions again.
Would Teresa Nagy please join Chair Wallen Miller and Vice Chair Carter at the front? Teresa Nagy was named a North Carolina Association of Teacher Assistants Regional Teacher Assistant of the Year for District 4, which consists of 12 counties, including Moore. Ms. Nagy has been employed with Moore County Schools for more than 14 years and has also worked in first and second grade classroom settings. Mrs. Nagy works closely with her teachers to create a positive learning environment for her students. She attended Sandhills Community College and has certifications in effective training, teacher training, and early childhood education. Congratulations, Ms. Nagy. Would members of the Nagy family and Principal Warren please stand and be recognized? Congratulations. This concludes.
Thank you so much.
Because we're not letting her go.
Yeah, Dr. Brown didn't say Teresa's decided to retire. Let's give it up for her again.
Kind of like the big sports stars, right? They retired at the zenith of their, at the peak.
Go out on top.
Right. All right, our first item on the agenda, Dr. Grimacy.
Madam Chair, as a program highlight, I introduced Dr. Anita Alpenfels with a team of experts on the things that we're doing to recruit and retain teachers in Moore County schools. Dr. Alpenfels.
Yes, good evening, Chair Wallen Miller, board members, Dr. Grimacy. My colleagues and I are pleased to join you this evening to share our work on the advisory team for recruitment and retention. As every school leader knows, the single most important decision we make as a district is the choice of teachers to guide our children's learning. While we have spent much time trying to wrap our minds around the challenges of educator recruitment and retention, we look forward with anticipation to finding some practical solutions to ensure that every classroom, and indeed every other position in our school district, is filled with competent, engaged, exemplary, caring adults who work with and on behalf of our students. I guess we need a PowerPoint slide up. And I apologize that I didn't make notes.
Yeah.
Probably a clicker somewhere. You might have to help. It looks like it might be. Chief clicker. Thank you, Mr. Breyer. Many roles. At the prompting of Dr. Grimacy, this team was formed in the fall of 2014, shortly after his arrival, to address the human resources needs of the district, particularly in terms of recruiting and retaining a highly effective, diverse teaching force. This slide describes the makeup of the team, representing a broad array of stakeholders. None of the work you will learn about could have taken place without the time and dedication of the entire advisory team for recruitment and retention. And now I'm pleased to introduce three of my colleagues who are among those who've served on this team and led three subcommittees. Kim Bullard, principal for Robbins Elementary School, Rob Breyer, principal for Cameron Elementary School, and Sean Krinsicki, principal for West End Elementary School.
All right. Hello. So when the team was formed, the district was feeling the same that every district across the state was feeling. that there's a teacher shortage in North Carolina, making recruiting and retention much more competitive, and not just in North Carolina school systems, but actually in the neighboring states. The recruitment of minority teachers has been and remains an ongoing challenge for the district, and this team has prioritized this as a point of focus from the first meeting. The barriers of recruiting Black and Hispanic teachers is a systemic challenge nationally, especially for rural school districts and Moore County schools, and the team remains committed to recruiting minority educators. In the early stages of the team meetings, we spent a considerable time brainstorming ideas, including flashier displays at job fairs for both in and out of state, as well as building connections with universities, all which have led us to a deeper dive into the institutional community attributes that impede the successful recruitment and retention of minority candidates. In other words, we have determined that we would focus on what we could impact given our resources. And this led to panel discussions about affordable housing, business partnerships, and new teacher networking strategies, and creating social events.
That's the right slide right there.
Thank you.
Slide 4.
The team researched and presented literature and built a collective understanding of limited capabilities and capacity, particularly when many incentive programs are costly to implement. So state resources are not available for this purpose, local funding is tapped, and our availability of funding under the federal government, Title II, is limited.
Among the panel discussions in which the team participated, including a minority panel, several local business panels, new teachers, etc., we discussed the need for affordable housing and affordable child care, especially affordable infant care that aligned with school calendars and schedules. One of the biggest accomplishments of this group is that we have acknowledged the challenges and made an exhaustive effort to listen to every concern, turn over every stone, and be as real about the challenges as possible, making adjustments to our areas of focus when needed. An initiative born from the General Assembly legislation resulted in a Future Teachers of America program at Pinecrest High School this year. Grow Your Own initiatives are among the most common solutions cited in national research offering solutions to the teacher shortage. Students have so many more options for career paths that the notion of teaching as a career has not been attractive for many students. While this year's class was small and the program was at risk for discontinuation, the teacher for the program, Julie Yutzi, is being given the opportunity to increase numbers by recruiting interested students in hope that the program will be able to continue next year. An outgrowth of feedback from our teacher education panel was a more robust web presence on what we offer in terms of beginning teacher support. A part-time position also has been added to the curriculum and instruction team focused on beginning teacher support. With collaboration from multiple departments at central office, onboarding of new hires has been refined and new teacher induction has been revamped so that new hires can also attend professional development at the Moore Learning Conference.
The many conversations we have had have resulted in a few successes along the way. Our principals, who serve as our primary recruiters, take along a beginning teacher to job fairs. Not only does this allow the beginning teacher to share his or her story with potential candidates, but it also helps build the leadership capacity of our new teachers. These recruitment trips have allowed relationship building and mentoring opportunities between principals and new teachers. We have also included minority community leaders on our recruiting trips when possible. When discussing the challenges of childcare in our area, there was much discussion about the fact that bus transportation would not deliver a teacher's child to her work site even if the bus route went past the school. That challenge has been remedied with the help of the transportation department. At Robbins Elementary, a language academy has been implemented, providing a diverse teaching staff to meet the needs of students. Initial conversations have begun with Reverend Paul Murphy at Trinity AME Zion Church to assist in coordinating an information session in West Southern Pines to help individuals with bachelor's degrees understand the possibilities of becoming teachers through alternative licensure. We now have this meeting scheduled for March 26th from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock p.m. and are getting the word out. In an effort this year to put more action into the committee's work, we divided up into 3 groups: recruitment, working conditions, and incentives. Each group met separately across several months to develop goals for the year. Of the 3 committees, the action that currently has the most traction is the exploration of establishing several daycares within the school system for employee children. Anecdotally, since the team began meeting, principals have noted the challenge that teachers face in finding quality, affordable childcare for their own children. In response, several panels have explored the possibilities and the challenges of expanding daycare for employees' children beyond Bass Lakeview Elementary School. In January, a survey was conducted to explore employee interest. As you can see from this slide, representative of one of the questions on the survey, a strong majority of the 500-plus respondents indicated that such an employee incentive would help retain them as employees. Consequently, conversations continue with operations and other entities for possible partnerships. While at times our conversations have left us deflated, we are also encouraged that we have been able to make some progress in some areas. As we have shared, we have other areas in progress, and we look forward to keeping you abreast on future developments. We're happy to answer any questions.
I have a quick question. About how much is the budget for recruitment? Anita?
Our budget is $8,891.20.
Whoa.
If I might, Dr. Brown, how does that compare with Richmond County, Dr. Alpenfels?
That's a good question that I really...
Last time I talked to Dr. Goodman, it was over $500,000.
Yeah, I was going to say ours is, I mean, that includes advertising in areas, and some ads can run over $1,000.
Yeah, that includes beginning teacher assistance. If we add that, we'd have to look at federal funds.
Oh my
is
gosh.
what we use for that, but even that's very limited.
So it's very limited.
The success
y'all
we've
do a
en-
great job.
The success
for
we've
what you
enjoyed
do.
has been on literally a zero budget. So you can imagine if we actually devoted some
money
support to it, we might even make some progress.
It's even a challenge to update our recruiting materials with the new logo.
Yep.
Because that's the budget we have. So it's a challenge. Our principals are great. They go out and enthusiastically represent our school district, and inviting community members to join them, beginning teachers, and I'm proud of the work they do.
Glad you asked the question.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to hearing the results of the meeting on March 26th, because I think letting people know that there are alternative licensure possibilities, and if there are other opportunities to help them with childcare or other things that we're looking at that could support growing our own teachers here, I think that's a way to go.
Support to move forward. What's interesting about the meeting on March 26th is that Reverend Paul Murphy was a lateral entry teacher for us at one point, so he knows what that's all about.
We might even talk him into coming back.
That would be wonderful.
I want to say I was a lateral entry teacher too, so I stuck around and it paid off. And
So was I.
yes.
Yes. If you know of people who'd be interested, we're sort of targeting the churches in that area, just thinking that that's maybe a place we've not tapped, but the meeting is open to anyone, and we'll begin to get that word out this week.
Wonderful.
So we're excited about it.
I would like to add, I think it was 3 weeks ago when I was in Raleigh, I think of the House Education K-12 Committee, there was a presentation by a young lady from Durham talking about furnishing apartments for employees. So I'll send you what information I have and when that meeting took place. I don't know a result of it. They weren't asking for anything then. It was just a presentation on what they were attempting.
I've made a connection with Dare County. They offer housing for teachers, and I'm trying to get that information in the hands of some folks too, because their challenge is similar to ours. It's the affordable piece. For childcare, it's just availability and affordability. So we've got to reach out, and this community has to join hands with us, because it's going to take all of us to kind of overcome some of these barriers. But I think we can do it. I think our community can do it.
And there's so many slots, as I recall, for preschool at Bass Lakeview, that there's a huge waiting list.
Yes, absolutely.
In fact, Peyton's 9, and I'm still on the waiting list. Just to put that in perspective, I never got a call, so she never made it. But
Right.
And Dr. Appenfeld, correct my memory, but didn't we used to have daycares in several of the high schools in Moore County? That's just a program that's been cut
We did.
over
because
time.
It was part of CTE, I believe, and yes, I remember very well when I was a teacher at Union Pines that took place in the house that's on the campus, so yes.
There are schools that still do that in our county system.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Thank
Thank
you all
you
very
so
much.
much for sharing.
Good luck.
Thank you, guys.
All right, I look forward to seeing where that takes us. That's exciting. All right, we have the consent agenda.
Madam Chairman, I move we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Any questions or conversation? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried, 7-0. Dr. Grimacy, you're ready.
Madam Chairman, members of the board, I'd like to take this opportunity to compliment our district staff members on their professionalism during the emergency response at our office on Friday, March 8th. As you know, a good and responsible citizen found a student's book bag along the side of the road and brought it to our office on Friday morning. Arriving before office hours, the individual set it at our front door to make sure we found it, and we did. Unfortunately, the citizen left no note explaining the book bag, and given recent threats to other local public facilities, we had no choice but to execute our emergency response protocol. At every step in the process, our staff remained focused, professional, and devoted to their responsibilities to serve children. Not only were we trying to make sure that our team was safe, but in the meantime, it was okay, how do we continue to do business? I also want to thank a few of our neighbors and our emergency response agencies. We are grateful to Aaron Cooper and the staff at Cooper Ford and to Reverend Tom Lampkin and the Sand Hills Baptist Association for their hospitality as we established a forward operating base for our administrative operations throughout the 2-hour investigation. We were able to kind of keep business going and still be close enough to collaborate with our law enforcement partners. At the risk of overlooking anyone, I want to express our deep gratitude to our Moore County Police Department, the Carthage Police Department, the Moore County Sheriff's Office, the State Bureau of Investigation's Bomb Squad, and the Moore County Department of Public Works. I especially want to thank that Belgian Malinois that got the last effort to go around the property. He had a ball looking for something. Their responses were remarkably swift, robust, and professional. I can't say enough about them. State Bureau of Investigation was here in 45 minutes from Raleigh, and just remarkable response. In the end, it was determined that the book bag did belong to one of our high school students, and it posed no danger to anyone. In fact, the recovery of that book bag probably took that child out of danger with his parents. And even though there was a misunderstanding, I want to make this clear. We remain grateful to the anonymous citizen who brought the bag to our office. There was a misunderstanding, but the intentions were there, and we are very grateful for what that person did. Given the many examples of violence that have occurred in workplaces, public facilities, and even places of worship in recent years, we count it a blessing that our situation ended safely. Next, I want to add my thanks to our county manager and our Board of Commissioners for their support during last week's extraordinary series of events related to the award of a bid for construction of the new Southern Pines Elementary School. Their actions kept alive our mission to complete all 5 of our school construction projects on time, and to do so on a timetable that minimizes the impact of inflation in the cost of commercial and institutional construction. And finally, I want to express my gratitude to everyone who has participated in our many meetings associated with the forthcoming student assignment planning process. Since your last meeting on April 11th, the Student Assignment Planning Advisory Committee has conducted 2 meetings. I have conducted community forums in each of our district's 3 feeder areas, and I have offered presentations on the student assignment planning process to 3 different groups. Additional group meetings are scheduled for the coming weeks, and I'm using my regular cycle of faculty meetings to explain the process to as many people as I can. It is safe to estimate that the past month's presentations have involved a combined total of 400 or more individuals. Special thanks go to the many staff members who have worked hard to support the presentations and to estimate the audience size and make sure that each process allows the opportunity to ask questions and offer comments intended to inform the process and to clarify misunderstandings. The public has been patient, but trying to estimate how many people show up and then come up with the right process by which people can talk on that has been a real challenge, and I'm very appreciative to the staff for that. That completes my monthly report. Madam Chair, I remain at your service.
Thank you very much. And I'd like to think that what happened with the book bag is an example of good collaborative work between agencies. And also, it was a good practice. I think it's
Yes, ma'am,
always
it was.
good to practice the plans you put in place, and you don't often get a chance to do that, so.
And as always, you learn how to adapt to the plan.
Yes, yes,
The
we do.
the legislature is considering bills that'll make sure we do everything we're supposed to do, even though we're already doing it.
All right, we are now ready for the public hearing on the budget.
We have speakers signed up this evening to speak upon the budget. Just a quick reminder that you have 3 minutes per individual speaker. Our first speaker tonight is Leona Payne.
Good evening. I would like to speak on the request to add more funding for our support and certified staff. I love our teachers. They're absolutely amazing. Everyone at Carthage Elementary is an absolute saint, but they're not the only people that my child sees each day. They will see the child nutrition specialist in the cafeteria when they get their lunch. They'll see maintenance throughout the day, cleaning up and making sure that repairs are made to their facilities. And many times they'll also see a counselor. And our kids don't just learn from the teachers, they also learn from the support staff. From a counselor, they're going to learn how to be kind to other people and how to use social skills. From the child nutrition specialist, they're learning how to eat well, and I don't know how they take that limited budget and still feed my very picky eater, but they do, and it's amazing, and my child is learning from that. And also from maintenance, they are learning how to solve problems creatively. They have limited resources, and they're using creativity and an amazing source of ingenuity to fix every problem that pops up in schools that sometimes are literally crumbling around our children. So I thank you for requesting this additional money. It is needed to not just staff what we need, but it also will help meet what we need to go for the, there's a requested and recommended ratio. So ours are currently at like 1 per 1,200 for a lot of the support staff, and it should be 1 to 300 or 1 to 500. And all of that additional money does need to happen. It does need to come into our budget, and it needs to be in our budget moving forward so that our children have the best opportunity to learn, not just from their teachers and their teachers' assistants, but from everyone that they meet throughout the day. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And our next speaker is Clayton Burns.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name's Clayton Burns, of course. I want to thank you for allowing me to address you tonight. And I know every topic that you guys are covering is very important and in their own right. The topic I'd like to talk about tonight is the non-certified salary scale proposal that Dr. Grimacy has put forward. It seems like for a number of years in maintenance and everywhere, you're hired and you get a salary. And it's just stagnated at that. We've had very few raises along this. There's no step scale. And that's what we've strived for years. We'd like to be somewhere we could get in there and you progress along your salary scale. That's what we're asking for. We want a way to move forward and to improve ourselves and get there and tell us how to get there. And we want to be able to go on this scale and hopefully get there and we'll just progress, and go from there. That's what we're trying to do with this. And I'm not smart enough to sit here and say that it's a panacea and everything's great. We're not going to have some hiccups in it or whatever. But I do feel it's a step forward, and that's what we need to do as much as possible. It gives you something to strive for and something to do. And the sad thing is, a lot of times we have folks coming in here who are coming off the street or whatever, and we've got guys here, females, for 10, 15 years, and they're making the same thing we are. And that's just not right. I know we've gone through some hard times, and I know that, in 2008 everything went belly up and we had a lot of trouble. But I just think it's time for us to try to move forward, if at all possible, and get some way forward so we can get there. I'm lucky enough to work with a lot of dedicated and talented people every day. And I know that in working with them, that we're the reason the lights are going here. You know, we keep things going. We're teachers' assistants. They keep food on the table, you know, for these young people to be safe and to have something to eat and to, you know, to function and have a good learning environment. It's so important for us to have that, to keep the schools clean. I mean, we're going in when other people are getting out. When you got a toilet that's running over, everybody's getting away, we're going in to fix it. It's a fact. Or somebody, it's an unfortunate fact, but if something's going on, we're going in. And that's what we do. And I just, again, we've got to maintain the people that we have here. It's so important that we, you know, keep talented people in our schools, not just teachers. Teachers are super important. I'm not knocking that at all. But other people are important too. And again, I thank you for your time. And I want to thank Dr. Grimacy and all you for just considering this. I've been here for 6 years now, and I've never seen anybody come forward with this. And I thank you for your time, and I hope you consider it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Burns. Our next speaker is Megan Kelly Greaves.
Thank you for having me. Hello, my name is Megan Kelly Greaves. My children attend West End Elementary School. I'm speaking tonight to ask you as a school board and for any of the county commissioners who may be listening to continue to be diligent about funding our schools. The cuts which have occurred in the last few years have been too deep. As a parent and community member, I'm in favor of refunding these cuts. Currently, my own children are 4th and 5th graders who are directly affected by the state policies which shifted teachers to the lower grades without ensuring that the upper grades had a decent teacher-student ratio. They're now in classes with close to 30 students and 1 teacher. Our schools are also currently making do without adequate numbers of health and safety staff, such as school nurses, psychologists, and counselors, and without adequate maintenance staff. As a pediatric nurse, I fear spreading these personnel across multiple schools leaves dangerous gaps in care. Another vital area of funding is that for programming in our schools. A basic education is no longer enough. Our programs greatly benefit Moore County school children and ensure that they're ready for college and careers of the 21st century. But over the last few years, several wonderful programs have been cut or have just managed to be saved. My own children, as well as nearly 100 West End Elementary School children, have been affected by losing funds for their excellent Spanish immersion program. Through this program, kids were well on the way to becoming completely bilingual as elementary school students. Language immersion at the elementary school level follows best practices research, showing that kids learn languages better at the earliest ages possible rather than waiting until high school. It's been heartbreaking to be a part of something in the public schools that's truly revolutionary and truly works, only to see it be lost due to the lack of funds. And this wasn't the only important program that has come to the chopping blocks because of funding needs. I'm here as a parent to say that cutting these funds has ramifications not just for the 1 year that they're cut, but for several years to come. It has ramifications for the students directly, for families in this community who've put their child in a program with good faith and spent considerable time and effort, and for teachers and administrators who've also worked diligently to ensure a quality education. Finally, I'd like to mention that we've seen great strides as of late for our county coming out in mass to support our schools. And I think that there's been a big change recently with everyone realizing that we can't keep putting things off for facilities or for staffing. So right now, we've got this amazing opportunity for all of our kids, overwhelming community support. So I hope that we can ride this wave of support and that we can look towards long-term solutions. I hope that we can see that the demographic in our county is changing. More families are moving in. May I finish?
One sentence.
Okay. Oh. More school-aged children are coming, and we also have an increased tax base as the population increases. So I hope we'll be able to see that we can support these programs, these kids, and these schools.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Anita Alpenfels.
Good evening again. I understand it may be odd for me, the Executive Officer for Human Resources, to be standing here during the public comment session of this meeting. However, I have something important to say. I'm grateful that when I asked Dr. Grimacy if I could do so, he supported my request. Thank you. Everything our school district does, everything our students achieve, hinges on the quality of the adults we employ to teach our children, to transport them to school, to serve them nutritious meals, to clean their classrooms, to repair the heat, to paint the walls, etc., etc. It takes all of our adults to make this work. All of these employees have choices before them. We work a lot on work culture so that our employees feel like an important part of this work. But there's one area in which we've not been successful in making a good number of them feel valuable, and that is in terms of the salaries for our classified employees. I know full well that we work in an environment where we have limited resources to meet needs that significantly exceed those resources. We have some tough choices to make as a board in managing those limited resources. But I want to speak to you about the importance of one of the line items in this year's budget. As you already know, for the past year and a half, Mike Bundy and I and members of our human resources and finance teams have worked with the Piedmont Triad Regional Council as we conducted a study about our classified salaries. We worked to learn where our salaries were fairly administered and where they were not. We looked at every classified employee individually to analyze where their salaries are and where they should be, based on their relevant experience and service with the school district. Now we're ready to act. We're ready to implement an easy-to-understand salary schedule that will help our employees know from which their salaries are derived and to help them perhaps strive to grow and develop, to take on more challenging roles. But perhaps most importantly, this salary structure will provide for modest annual increases to help them better keep up with the cost of living, to plan their lives, to care for their families, so that they can give Moore County Schools their very best selves. Our classified employees are counting on us as leaders to follow through on this work, to bring you the recommendation to fund the classified salary proposal, and I stand before you doing so publicly. They deserve my advocacy, and they deserve yours. While I know you have many conflicting needs to consider, I believe this need is critical, one that should be, no, must be, at the top of the list. We're so glad for county employees that their salaries were addressed this past year. Now it's time for the same consideration to be provided for members of our Moore County Schools family. Thank you.
Thanks, Anita.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Emily Richardson.
That's a very tough act to follow. My name is Emily Richardson. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I am a parent at Pinehurst Elementary School, and I've spoken here and to the county commissioners before. And I read through the budget, and I thought about how really I want you guys to fund all of it. And I'm so excited to see that you all are asking for all of it, because there's no way it will all get funded if we don't ask. So I'm really pleased to see that we're at least throwing it out there, and we're asking for them to come and fund our schools and to fulfill all the positions, to provide all the funding we need to make things grow here in Moore County Schools. So looking at it, I tried to pick two areas that were really the most important that stuck out to me. And the first is getting those teaching positions back. I also have a 5th grade child at Pinehurst Elementary School, and her classes are big, but they're not horrible. The 4th grade classes are 30, 31, and 29. And those teachers, it's a team of 3. They teach all the subjects. They're not team teaching this year because there's 3 of them. And that's a huge workload to put upon those teachers. So I would love to see that we make sure we get those teaching positions back and we start to address the large class sizes that have been caused by the new state mandates. And the second area is the pay scale for our classified staff. The teachers are the ones who are in front of our students every single day, and the teacher assistants are as well. But there's a whole mass of people who are there in the schools, who are either behind the scenes, in the hallways, that are making sure that everything happens as it should be. And at Pinehurst, our classified staff work really, really hard to make sure that our building is functioning in a way that allows the students to continue to learn appropriately. Whether that's funneling 615 students through the cafeteria line and making sure that they all get fed, or making sure that the heating system and the AC system is working properly throughout the school. So I'd encourage you all to show those folks that they matter and really push to have that pay scale that shows the appreciation financially to keep them in our school system, because their turnover is just as important as the teacher turnover that was spoken about earlier. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Our next speaker is Janet Smith.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Grimacy. I'm Janet Smith. I'm a longtime teacher at Northmore High School. I'm a parent of a current Northmore High School student, as well as one who's now a junior in college and one who has come back to teach at Northmore. First of all, let me say thank you. I appreciate the work you all do on behalf of us each day to ensure that our students are successful. This evening, I come to you to express my support as a teacher, a parent, and a community member for this proposed budget. I realize that for many, especially those outside of the school community, it's easy to look at a huge dollar figure and not see past that number. This evening, I'd just like to spend a minute sharing with you how these requested funds would directly impact our students. As a certified employee, I sincerely appreciate the funding towards teacher salaries and maintenance of class sizes, your dedication to ensuring students having optimal environments for learning and that teachers feel appreciated and supported does not go unnoticed. Thank you. I'm so thankful, and I know my other certified colleagues are as well. However, one of the larger areas in the requested budget framework is in regards to the salary raises for classified staff. Let me tell you that teachers would not be able to educate our students effectively each day if it weren't for the support of our classified colleagues. These folks are integral to our school system. They make sure that we have effective operations, climate, and culture for our students. Our custodial and maintenance staff ensure safe, clean, comfortable, and functional campus environments. Our office support staff ensures that we have needed supplies, adherence to state reporting, effective communication with parents and visitors. They carry out the systems that keep us functioning smoothly. Our bus drivers and transportation colleagues and our cafeteria staff, they all ensure that students have safe, reliable ways to get to school and then have good meals while they're there. Lastly, I'd like to share the importance of fully funding those positions that ensure the emotional, physical, and mental well-being of our students. Our students must have these needs met and supported before they can be ready to effectively focus on our content standards. We continue to see more and more students who have ongoing health problems, whether it be allergies, diabetes, migraines, as well as students and families who need assistance, whether it's seeking out and securing help for health needs or dental needs or visual needs, mental health services, or supports for ensuring their physical safety. Our school nurses, our resource officers, our counselors, our social workers, our psychologists, all are providing services each day that ensure they best support individual student needs, and they work directly with students, families, and outside agencies to provide the necessary support and education required. The social, emotional, and mental health needs of our students increase each year, and unless we provide the personnel to meet the increasing needs of our students, we risk allowing one or more of them to slip by unsupported or unserved. Not a single one of our students should ever slip through. All deserve to be met at the point of need and supported all the way to success. So for this reason, I speak to you tonight to thank you for advocating for the best interests of our students. When looking at the budget requested in terms of dollars or position titles, it's hard to see or hear how students are impacted, but each request in this budget points back to one thing: student success.
Thank
For
you.
that, thank you.
Our next speaker is Heidi Rabsnack.
Good evening, Dr. Bob and board members. My name is Heidi Rabstanek. I work at West End Elementary School. I have been in the child nutrition department for 15 years, the last 4 at West End also. So on behalf of the child nutrition department, I would like to take the opportunity to thank you for implementing the classified staff salary study and proposal. The support you have shown and the faith in us has been wonderful. We all do what we do for the love of our students. Thank you for acknowledging that we play a vital role for the students of Moore County and for appreciating us. As you approach the county commissioners for the salary increase, please know you have an army of support staff cheering you on. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And our last speaker for the public hearing on the budget is Lynn Antill.
All right, good evening. You may be surprised to see me here because honestly, I usually only show up to these meetings when a program or a position is potentially going to be cut. And so I was pleasantly surprised to read in the newspaper that Dr. Grimacy is not proposing any budget cuts this year. And I've lived in the area a long time, and I don't remember a year passing that didn't involve these budget cuts. So I thought I'd come here to personally thank you and ask the board to support this budget. So thank you for asking to bring back 13 teachers in the 4th through 12th grades. Although there's not a class size cap in the older grades, class size definitely makes a difference. When my oldest was in 3rd grade, she was fortunate to be in a class of 17. And then when she entered 4th grade, she was one of 28. And definitely the amount of contact that she had with her teacher, as well as we as parents had with her teachers, was drastically decreased, and we saw an increase in behavioral problems that year as well. So I also want to thank you for bringing back an additional digital integration facilitator, or DIF. DIFs not only engage students by incorporating technology and STEM lessons into the curriculum, they're better preparing our children to be competitive in a technology-driven world. Thank you for asking for an increase in our support staff, as well as an increase in wages for some of the support staff. They allow the school to better meet the needs of all of our students. Of course, I'd be even more excited if there was talk of including something new, like new programs, or even bringing back old programs like the Spanish Immersion program into the budget. But I do understand funds are limited, and we can't ask for everything right now. But I feel like this is a very good first step in that we're stopping the budget cuts and looking to bring back a few things that have been cut. My feeling, based on the passage of the school bond referendum, as well as that quarter-cent sales tax, I feel like the county commissioners know our community supports public schools. And so I hope that you all will support this budget and give it to them. Thank you for keeping our kids, in the forefront of all your decisions, and I appreciate all you do. So thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes the public hearing on the budget. Although Mr. Barath wants to say something.
Just very quickly, there were some people in the hallway who couldn't quite fit in. They wanted to be here so you could see that they were here in support of the classified pay study and that support. And they just crammed out there. I'd like to ask them if they could step in here. So
Sure. Absolutely. Thank you. Come on in.
And Madam Chair, with your permission, there are a lot of other individuals that came in support of the classified employee wage scale, salary scale this evening. And so if you wouldn't mind, I'd just like to ask those to stand up if they were here this evening and did not speak. You were here in support of the support staff wage scale this evening. Would you stand up at this time, please?
Hello. Let the record show that almost everybody stood up, for those of you who can't see.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you all for being here. And I will just say, we have one more speaker on the, on our regular public address portion. So if you could all just hold on tight for one more speaker, and then we will take a break after that and let you all go. And I just want to thank all of you that were here to talk about the public hearing for the budget. It's really important for us as board members to hear from the community about the budget that has been presented so far. On April 1st and on April 8th, we will be, is that correct, voting to adopt the budget. We will talk about it one more time on April 1st, and then on April 8th, we will vote to adopt a budget that will then go forward for the local portion of what we're requesting from the county commissioners. So it's extremely important for us to hear from folks. We've also gotten emails from folks, and that's been helpful too for those that couldn't come today. So One more
Okay.
speaker.
We have one speaker signed up for public address. Again, a reminder for 3 minutes. That is Anna Hagedorn.
Good evening, board members and Dr. Bob. I'm Anna Hagedorn, a senior at Pinecrest High School, and I'd like to address a topic that wasn't brought up entirely tonight, but we will for sure be hearing a lot about in the future. I was able to participate in the Pinecrest Unity Forum, and after doing this, I was able to deeply reflect on the impact of the differences between the two main feeder schools for Pinecrest. I was astounded by the difference in our middle school experiences and the expectations we had coming into Pinecrest. After looking back and analyzing parts of the past 4 years, I believe I entered my 9th grade year with an advantage because of the middle school I attended. The difference in these two schools was not in their educational ability, it was, and still is, in the lack of racial and socioeconomic diversity. This lack of diversity shows clearly when you look at the statistics in this paper. One of them is Southern Middle School has 61% of its student population on free and reduced price lunch, while West Pine only has 24%. This lack of diversity has led to an inequality in the opportunities available to these students. After principals from both schools compared the taxpayer-funded programs in these schools, they found both had the exact same. However, West Pine Middle also had a parent-funded PTSA, athletics booster, and an arts booster. These differences can affect the way students perform in the future because if they aren't exposed to the same opportunities as one another, obviously one is going to be ahead. I'm hoping the redistricting process will fix this disparity. Even with these differences, everyone at the Unity Forum was able to agree that Pinecrest has been the best 4 years of our lives because of the stellar education we've received and the diversity it offers. However, this isn't something that should be contained within Pinecrest. This is something that should be incorporated at an elementary school level. Having a diverse student population not only makes for a more enriched educational experience, but allows the student to grow as a result of being exposed to different lifestyles and opinions, therefore learning to gain respect for people different than themselves. At Pinecrest, we have extracurricular possibilities to meet any interest or hobby you may have. This is why Pinecrest students thrive, because we have multitudes of ways for them to find their niche and then expand on it. I know parents are concerned about kids being moved to new schools and possibly being moved away from friends, but kids make new friends. Especially in the transitions between elementary school and middle school and high school, it's natural to switch friend groups, and if we provide them with a diverse enough student population to make friends from, they won't have an issue. So right now, instead of splitting Moore County into 2 groups, I think it's time that we should pull together and understand that while we will be sacrificing a little, we hope to gain a lot and grow and benefit together. I hope that everyone would realize that there are 2 sides to every argument. I understand the benefits and consequences of each side, but I also realize that to continue the approach that we've been taking and to expect things to change isn't a real solution. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just love seeing our students come and talk to us.
Absolutely. With a handout.
We're going to take a short break. Be back in 10 minutes, board members?
Yeah, thanks.
How about 5 minutes?
All right, I call the meeting back to order. Dr. Grimacy, we have several items under board action.
Yes, ma'am. To begin with, I'll introduce Mr. Barath. John?
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. It's a great evening, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And I did turn the heat back up a little bit, so if y'all were chilly, it's just because we had so many people.
I
here
understand.
tonight. Well, I'm here to talk to you about the Southern Pines Elementary bid results that last week we had to ask you to table until tonight. Just to give you some background on it, we did open bids for the new school project on February 26th. There were 5 bids submitted, so it was a healthy bid environment. That's consistent with the previous 2 projects. We had 5 on McDeeds Creek and we had 6 on Aberdeen. The contractors have built schools across North Carolina and some of them even here in Moore County. The approved total budget for the school is identified in our spreadsheet for our budgets for schools, and the attachment is in front of you for that. For this part of the project totaled $27,360,554. This includes the construction of the school, the finishing of the developing of the site, utility extensions, the off-site roadway Carlisle extension, and a maintenance building. It also takes into consideration your previous action of approving the early site grading package of just over $1.1 million. All 5 bids that were received were over this $27.36 million budget amount. Now, each bid contained 18 bid alternates of owner-preferred products and additional components. After we assessed the total bid cost and potential alternates, Clancy and Thays Construction Company out of Charlotte was the apparent low bidder. We began immediately to execute board policy and general statutes, where staff and the design team began engaging with Clancy and Thays immediately following this bid opening to begin to evaluate any potential items that could be value engineered within the project without impacting some of the guiding principles we have as far as our schools construction go. One being the sustainability of the overall facility and the endurance of the facility to last many decades to come. This includes instructional spaces. The overall aesthetics of the facility to still be a true reflection of the communities upon which they're built in. And also, most importantly, the provision of equitable quality of facility when it's compared to the other projects the board has awarded this year. We, along with the design team, incorporated every value engineering opportunity that the board approved on the Aberdeen Elementary project already into the Southern Pines Elementary project when it was bid. Dr. Grimacy and I have been in communications immediately following the bid opening with the county manager, Wayne Vest. Previously, the county had identified tomorrow, March 12th, as a sale date for the bonds for this project, anticipating the bid opening when we did. Mr. Vest was very appreciative of the information that we had shared with him and keeping him informed, and he did express confidence in a funding solution to assist the board in the efforts to provide value engineering opportunities to reduce the cost. Last week, let's start with March 4th. So right before your work session, about a half hour beforehand, a representative from Clancy and Thays contacted me and advised me that they intend to withdraw their bid due to a mathematical error. At that time, I very quickly asked the board and Dr. Grimacy to entertain a request of the situation that we were faced at that very moment and to table this motion for this project until tonight. The following day in the morning, we received an official letter from Clancy and Thays withdrawing their bid. Immediately, the architect and I reached out to the next apparent low bidder, which was Monteith Construction. Monteith Construction has performed work in Moore County in the past and performed well. During a phone conference that we had with the owner of Monteith Construction, it was brought to our attention that they do stand by their bid. It is validated, they had researched that, and that they are ready to move forward with negotiations with us on the project. However, they also informed me that they were intending to submit on another substantial project that very day at 2 p.m. They explained that they could not proceed with 2 projects, but only 1 at this time. So, as a result, they would require us to affirm with them that we plan to enter into an agreement with them and proceed with the project and award it to them. So they would not submit on that other project. So their bid, including the considered alternates, was just over $1.1 million higher than what Clancy and Thays had proposed. The resulting cost was a total of $3.6 million over the $27 million budget. Through our work and effort with Clancy and Thays, we'd identified $925,000 of value engineering that could be done to the project that would be applicable in the same situation with Monteith Construction. That brings the submission at $2.68 million above the $27 million established budget. Dr. Grimsey and I immediately called Mr. Vest to inform him of this, and this was right before their 10:30 a.m. Board Commissioner meeting on that Tuesday, March 5th. Mr. Vest informed us he would inquire with the chair and vice chair of the commissioners between the meeting and the open session as to what they wish to do. With Dr. Grimsey's permission, I immediately rushed up to the courthouse to attend the meeting myself and make myself available to them should they choose to ask questions. After a brief discussion with Mr. Vest, Chair Quist, and Vice Chair Graham, and their legal counsel, Misty Leland, Chair Quist agreed that the commissioners would come out of their closed session to reopen the public session and to add to their agenda the school board request to increase the budget by $2.68 million. They opened the public meeting again, asked for an update on how the process was, just what I gave you now, and at which point they began to ask questions of myself and Dr. Grimsey. Dr. Grimsey was very specific in his outline of the potential impacts of a delayed action here to the budget, and that it would likely result in a rebid of additional costs, making that gap even larger. We both responded to other questions to it, and the board, recognizing the urgency of this and the decision needed to be made by noon, they voted unanimously to approve the increase of $2.68 million to the project. I immediately contacted Monteith Construction to advise them of this outcome and our intent to enter into discussions with them. We will continue with our value engineering efforts with them and negotiations on the contract. The formal recommendation is not ready at this time. Time was too short to have all their subs, suppliers, and vendors respond in enough time to get a presentation tonight to you. We are confident that this week we will have that. So it is for that reason that Dr. Grimsey will recommend to you that you establish a special called meeting on March 18th to consider a formal award for this project. At that meeting, I will have a more in-depth presentation to share with you about the numbers and how it's all being covered. Now I'm available to respond as Dr. Grimsey as to any questions you may have.
Any questions or comments?
No questions. One comment. Thank you, and to your very small team, crisis emergency team that accomplished this resolution in unbelievable short time. Sort of feel like you just pulled it right out of the fire.
Right.
Thank you.
And thanks again to our commissioners. I know Dr. Bob has already stated that, but it just kudos and gratitude to them for acting so quickly and realizing that we just could not afford a delay. So just really appreciate their collaboration and efforts to get that approved so quickly.
I like to think of it as everybody did the right thing. And that's really important in this situation, because otherwise, as we can see from this bid tabulation, the next one that we would have picked would have been significantly more. Or to rebid this, it would have been significantly more. I do have one quick question. Is the bid for the bond sale, is that still tomorrow? Is that still happening tomorrow?
Yes, they are proceeding tomorrow with the sale of the bonds.
Okay, good. Wonderful. Any other questions or comments?
Madam Chair, the superintendent's recommendation is that you would actually table action on the award of the contract to construct the new Southern Pines Elementary School and simultaneously establish a special called meeting at 4 p.m. Monday, March 18th in order to review this matter.
Is that one motion or two?
It can be one unless any member objects and wishes to divide the motion.
Anybody object? Okay. We have a motion.
Second.
A second by Ms. Thompson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Thanks, John.
Thank you, Madam
Thank you,
Chair.
Mr. Brath.
Thank you. With your permission, Madam
Next
Chair,
item.
I'll invite Ms. Murphy forward. As presented last week, she is available to answer any questions or add any additional information. Staff is available to support board discussion in advance of your consideration of the recommendation from the superintendent noted on the executive summary.
So I just wanted to be clear that we had in fact removed Pine Crossing from the Aberdeen list. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, we had done that. There was some discussion last week about potentially looking at other names or other changes.
We have talked quite a bit, but do you want to cover like that? To talk about Aberdeen first or Pinehurst first, or are we just talking about the portal in general, which is what we're going to vote on?
The portal in general is what will open tomorrow until the 22nd of March for both the Aberdeen and the Pinehurst schools. Yes.
Having attended the meetings for both committees, I felt like we had a lot of good input from the Aberdeen group because it was a very large committee that got together to meet former students, current faculty, principals, PTA people, I mean, very well represented. The Pinehurst meeting, on the other hand, was a very small group, and consequently, whether it's because it was a small group or because they were just all united in one mind, we only came out with one name. And in discussion with some of the other board members and with other community members as well, I sort of feel like we need to offer some alternatives before we open this portal, that to simply go online with Pinehurst Elementary as a sole option means we get really no good feedback. We will get people, we'd get no comments for anything else. And so I would like to see if some of the other board members have some ideas about names that we might consider. I can share some that were given to me by other members of the community and see if we would like to add some of those names to the portal as we open. Mm-hmm. So anyone else?
Excuse me, I've been contacted by a couple of different people, and one was the Village, looking at the Village Elementary School. I'm always going back to Fairway because I think our golfing community needs to be recognized. And then another one that came up, even though we had a private school, Longleaf Academy, I think Longleaf Elementary School, because they're surrounded by longleaf pines. So those are three that I've heard from. I heard from two. The Fairway's mine.
Would there be any way to even keep one suggestion just an open box, or is that too much to ask?
I think we want to.
Just for Pinehurst Elementary, not necessarily Aberdeen.
But then we'd have to do it for all of them.
Yeah, I think we want to be able to get feedback on specific names rather than asking for other names at this point.
Could they comment? Is there a section to comment on certain things, or is it just a checkbox?
No, it's comment.
It is only comment.
It's only
Only
comment.
comment. Okay.
So the point is
the
that
last
it's not
one
a
was.
voting, right? It's
No.
really just feedback on the
Feedback.
names.
Right.
What do
Yeah.
people think about the names?
Okay.
And so you've proposed three. I'm sorry, what was the last one? The Longleaf?
Longleaf, Fairway, and the Village.
Did anybody else have any other names?
Old Town.
With an E.
Old Town Elementary. With an E.
Does it have to have an E?
I don't know. Or without an E. Doesn't need an apostrophe though, Bruce.
No. And one of the things, I didn't like the name, so I'm not recommending it. But I mean, there was one that dated back to the mid 1700s, before Moore County became Moore County and was part of Cumberland County, and it was an establishment, not even a town, called Pine Barrens, Barrens.
Was it an establishment that was reputable?
Yes. So they say in the historical information.
Thank you, Dr. Brown. I just thought I would ask.
But it was established for people who were coming from the coast, moving toward the western part of the state. And then they left here and left it to the Scots.
How did they spell Barren?
Barrens.
And a lot of that had to do with the fact that they just clear cut to collect naval stores. And so all the pine trees were cut down. Once they were milked for the turpentine, the sap, whatever, and the wood was then used in shipbuilding, or I guess locally in log cabins, but that was the pine barren because they had left the ground bare.
I'm not sure that's a very positive sound for an elementary school. I'm just going to go on this.
That's one that came up. It would just be interesting to see what kind of comments we would get from other members of the community if they were given some options. And that's what has continued to come to my attention, is that people would like to see alternatives if there are some out there.
Are there any of these that, aside from Pine Barren, because I think can we all just agree that that one is not okay. Are there any others here that would stand out as ones that have the same feeling that we would not want? I mean, the Longleaf one I worry about just because there used to be a school named that, and are they still in?
They're still not a school, but they still help children. I don't know if she uses Longleaf Academy, but I would be skeptic on using anything that had Longleaf.
I would too. I would suggest that maybe
I just
one.
Okay,
just
I
for
just
that
threw it out.
reason.
So what do we have left?
Village Elementary School, Fairway Elementary, and Old Town Elementary, with or without the E, but I don't think that's.
You could put an E on both of them, Old and Town. That'd be like, is that like the realty that's in
right.
town? Yeah.
Can you imagine elementary school kids
Right,
putting
yeah,
an E at the
ladies'
end?
side.
Let's make that easy.
Let's make it easy for them. Like
Really
Fairway.
trying hard to stay out of this conversation. But I do think that we need to be careful with the English spellings with our elementary school children.
I agree.
Kind of like Fairway. I want it to be
It has
simple.
if we're not naming a restaurant, we're naming a school.
Are those three what do you think about
Good.
adding those? Do we do that by consensus, or do we?
I'm not really a fan of Fairway either. That's just my personal. I just think golf in general, I mean, it speaks to pretty much every elementary school that we have. And Fairway to me was kind of near Camp Easter because Fairway Drive is near Camp Easter and McDeeds Creek. So that was, I'm not too fan of that one, but.
I
I
could
don't
see it
ha-
either
yeah,
way.
I
I
can-
mean, we're right there in the heart of Pinehurst, but.
But that would still give us 3 with Pinehurst Elementary, the Village, and Old Town.
Should we do those three?
That sounds fine to me, those three.
Yep.
Anyone else?
Yep.
Okay.
If you wanted to remember,
Now we need a motion.
If you wanted a name that would reflect my golf game, it would be Sand Trap.
I bet they do call Aberdeen Sandra.
Beautiful sand traps in the neighborhood, beautiful.
Above par, we could have.
I spent a lot of time in them.
All right, we'll be here all night. We'll be here all
Do we
night.
need a motion or?
I just want clarification really quick before you make the motion. So it's Pinehurst Elementary, Old Town,
Elementary.
with no E's, and the Village.
Elementary, yeah.
Do we need to have the?
The Village or keep.
Village Elementary.
Just
Village Elementary.
Village Elementary, okay, great.
All right, so now we need a motion.
So you would want a motion to adopt the list as presented.
Yeah.
Yes.
So moved.
For the portal.
Second.
Hold on, are we real clear on the motion? A motion to adopt both Aberdeen Elementary's list and Pinehurst Elementary list as discussed. So
Madam Chair, the recommendation as presented on the executive summary reads as follows. You can adapt. The superintendent recommends that the school board consider a motion to open online portals for public feedback on the names for the new, the proposed names for the new Pinehurst and Aberdeen elementary schools.
So moved. The other one,
moved
And
by
we got a
Mr.
thumbs up
Dennison.
from legal counsel.
Yeah, that's fine. The motion piggybacks on the discussion, and it's with the list of schools, the list of names.
Is there a second?
Second.
A second by Ms. Thompson. Any further discussion? Mr. Dennison. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried 7-0. Thank you, Ms. Murphy. Next is Dr. Powers.
Yeah, Madam Chairman, I'll invite Dr. Powers forward. As you recall, last week, he provided you with update on community response to the proposed name for the Union Pines High School greenhouse. There's no need to revisit that presentation. It was quite outstanding. But he's available to answer any questions. We come before you this evening as a staff with superintendent recommending that based on that community response as presented by Dr. Powers last week, we ask that the school board consider a motion to name the Union Pines High School greenhouse as Zach McNeil Greenhouse.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Well, I would just like to say, it's the first time anybody's ever expressed their opinion on something and nobody said anything negative. Congratulations.
Very impressive.
Very good. True. Of 110 responses on the website portal, all positive and all 54. And I will add that in my 3 years' experience, the 54 people that turned out for the community forum on February 19th, that's the largest group that we've had in support of facility naming that I can remember.
So we do have some folks that are
was
here
just gonna
tonight
ask.
who have not spoken, but I thought we might want to invite them to please stand if they're here in support of this motion.
So I would like to recognize first. I'd like to recognize Zach's mother, Penny Lind. If you please stand. Also Zach's father, Rodney McNeil, and then Zach's grandmother, Miss Parker. If she would please stand. And then there are other family here as well.
Yeah, if you're here in support, would you all stand up, please?
Dark-haired one.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
There is a motion on the table. There is a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you guys.
Thanks, Sam.
Well
Please
deserved.
invite us to the unveiling, and
Thank you.
we're sorry for your loss, and we're glad that his memory can stay with the school and with the students for a long time to come. Thank you.
He's the reason why we have that greenhouse.
That's right.
Yeah, thank you.
May 9th.
Oh, we already have that.
We haven't.
What time?
Wonderful.
Oh.
Perfect.
Excellent.
We're all writing that down.
I know
That's
we
why it's
are.
quiet.
What time?
We were going to ask Sonia
Okay,
next
yeah,
about that.
Sonia.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you.
And
Thank you,
for
guys.
coming.
We are grateful.
Thank you
Well,
for
we're grateful
coming.
that you came today. Thank you. All right, is this the last item on our agenda?
Yes, ma'am.
almost? Okay.
Final board action. I'll invite, I don't need to invite Mr. Bundy. He's
Stealth.
Mike on the spot. Madam Chair, as presented by Mr. Bundy last week, the staff recommended, or the superintendent recommends this evening, that you consider a motion to approve a supplemental local fund for charter schools. This is a request for a policy change on the part of the commissioners on how they manage the money. There is an amount in the budget that represents what that amount of money would be. But the budget does not request a policy to perpetuate that amount of money. So if we were resting with the budget, it would just be a single amount of money. But this request would be to authorize a presentation to the commissioners to make a separate request that they establish within their budget policy this fund that would be similar to what they do with digital and with capital. Okay, and so we stand this evening offering a recommendation that you consider a motion to approve a request to the county commissioners to establish a supplemental local fund for charter schools.
So moved.
Second.
Are there any discussion or questions, final questions?
I was just gonna say, I guess we just really never knew this was going on until you brought it up. So I really thank you for looking into that and realizing that this was actually happening. Because I had no clue that that's how that worked. And I'm sure the public didn't either. So I think it's well needed from a long time ago. We needed this, and I hope the county commissioners agree with us.
And I think one of the things that's indicated here is that it helps it become a transparent process. And that's I think that's the biggest benefit of this is just transparency of what is allocated for our payments to the charter schools, which we will be doing and happy to do that.
Right.
It's just more in a more transparent process.
Right.
And Madam Chair, if I may add, I'd just like to say that it establishes a orderly and sustainable process that is apolitical. This is not a statement of criticism against charters. It's not intended to do anything but ensure that the money for children who have never attended Moore County schools, that the expenses related to those children are appropriately accounted for in ways that set that money directly to those children. And it is nothing more than that. At no point, I don't want anybody on the charter school side to think that there's an ounce of criticism in this. I just think this is a way, as you say, for it to be transparent, but also orderly, sustainable, and apolitical. It's all the politics out of it. It just puts it out there and says that for children that never attended Moore County schools, whose expense was never accounted for in the Moore County Schools budget, there is now a funding stream for those children. And I think that if we just have the opportunity for everyone to think about that, we've been asking for that for going on 4 years now, and I think the time is now for that to get a fair hearing.
Good. So there's a motion and a second on the table. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
That's the easiest presentation you ever had, Mike.
That was your last one with us.
I was gonna say, was that his last one?
Oh, it's been wonderful having you. Thank you. All right, come on, Mike. Come on. Get out of here, Mike. We're gonna make you do the walk.
Take a walk, Mike.
It's been an honor, Mike. So you just break it down where we can understand.
No hugs.
Thank you. Best of luck.
I'll hug
on
you
your
later.
next- Best of luck.
I might give you the tea.
Appreciate it, Michael. Thank you very much.
See you on your
All right, the last item.
Give me a kiss. Give me a kiss.
All right, the last item are board comments. What comments do folks have today? Any comments?
I can strike the one off from Mike.
Yeah.
I was going to acknowledge him. It's just been a pleasure working with Mike, and I just can't say enough about his mannerism, his approach. Very smooth, and he doesn't get excited. Plus, he explains it and he breaks it down so that we can understand it clearly. So we're going to miss you, and best of luck and Godspeed in your next career move. Also, I wanted to acknowledge our social workers for the great job that they do for National Social Workers Week. Sometimes, as so many have said, the work that gets done behind the scenes, a lot of times we don't know. So just shout out to them. And also, I wanted to just acknowledge our speakers this afternoon for coming, taking the time to come out and support of our budget. All of the speakers were just heartfelt in what they had to say, so I just wanted to acknowledge them and everyone that was here on support of our budget this evening.
Yeah, ditto. I mean, you said everything, and spot on. I did want to just make one quick comment to Leah. I don't know what it was, but she really touched my heart. I was very emotional when she came by. It just goes to show you a second grader reading or memorizing that poem, and it was it was really breathtaking. And I just wanted to compliment the teacher, the mom, the school. They're doing an amazing job. That just goes to show you a second grader memorizing that hard poem. It was, I don't know, I was blown away. That's all.
Any other comments?
Following up that, I was very pleased to see that 4 out of 8 of the speakers were Moore County employees, and it was very gratifying to know that our employees feel comfortable coming before the board and
Good point.
making suggestions. That's the way we learn. I think that just actually we had 4 parents, 4 employees, and a student. So maybe we need to balance our students out. But that was great too. So good public address. You did a good job. You just got them signed up.
Got 'em ready, huh?
Yeah.
And I'd just like to say, Michael, thank you very much. Family first, I understand that. I made a lot of decisions based on that. And plus, it's not bad to keep the women happy either.
I want to thank John and Dr. Grimacy, excuse me, for their hurriedness of taking care of what happened last Monday and Tuesday. It was a marathon and has been for this past week. And so, again, we're taking care of business. And I want to thank the commissioners, as you had done, Pam, for stepping up and stepping forth. It means a lot. And thanking our parents and employees and teachers and maintenance people and whoever else was there to come forward and let us know their feelings. It means a lot to hear from the community. And I want to thank the community for their response with the Union Pines greenhouse. It means a lot. Penny, the mother of Zach, was one of my former students. So we go back longer than I like to think.
Just one little bit of sharing. I found this riveting reading out in the lobby last week. This is the report of the public schools of Moore County from 1916 to 1917. And I jokingly say riveting. I found it absolutely fascinating. And John Barrett, you will find this fascinating. In the time period between 1907 and 1917, 47 new schools were built in Moore County. 47. The county commissioners opted to levy a local tax. And with that local tax, they were able to build 47 new schools. Admittedly, they replaced log cabins in some cases, and many of these schools were just one-room school buildings. A few bigger that were 2- and 3-school buildings, but it was all due to a local tax. And in this book, and it's just a photocopy of the report, are pictures of the log cabin school at, say, Kaiser School. Before the tax is the label on it, and then the picture of the sparkling new white frame building of the Kaiser School after the tax. And they're all labeled that way through the whole book. So Moore County was on the move even back in the early part of the century, building 47 schools, but shortly after 1907. The value of school property back at that time in 1907 was just $23,000, all those log cabins throughout the county. By 1917, the county had $134,000 in property value. I found that increase to be just very interesting as well. So I'm going to put this back out in the lobby. I think Dr. Grimacy will want to note, though, this is mainly the superintendent's report. In this, it lists that the superintendent's days in office were the first Monday in each month and Saturdays.
That's all he works.
So if you want to renegotiate there, you might want to get you some history going. But anyway, this is a very interesting reading. I'm just glad to know that, we can't put 47 new schools online anytime soon, but we do have 5 new spots that are going.
That's interesting.
I was impressed that was George Griffin's first year as Director of Operations.
I have nothing else to add after that.
I'm sorry, man.
No, well, I can't. We have to go back into closed session, right?
Yes, ma'am, we do.
I cannot.
We
I
have a
can
couple of items,
recess. I'll need to recess our meeting here. For those of you that are here, this is the time for you to go. When we come back, all we're going to do is close up. So thank you for coming. I call a recess.
Thank you.